My name is Nate Byer. I'm the director for Earth Day 2010 at the Earth Day Network.
Okay, so Nate, the questions we wanted to ask you basically are, looking back over the last 40 years, what do you consider to be sort of the major achievements or maybe major setbacks that have really come out of the Earth Day movement? And maybe how you see this particular Earth Day, like in the context of the rest?
I think it's always important to start the conversation about where the movement began, and that's with the first Earth Day in 1970. In the lead up to the first Earth Day, we were in the midst of Vietnam in the United States, and it really was a domestic movement at that time. But we had Vietnam, and we had environment in the draft, and we had a spirit across the country of unrest and dissatisfaction. Matched with that was a dissatisfaction with our relationship to the environment. In '69, the Cuyahoga River outside of Ohio had caught fire. Just caught fire because of pollution in the water, and the smog levels, the DDT that we were putting on our fields, the smog levels in cities, were very proximate to people's lives. They saw the effects of our relationship to the environment, and in that kind of tumultuous environment, a Republican congressman, a Democratic senator, youth, and labor unions really came together and created this moment, Earth Day. It was really the birth of the modern environmental movement, and it changed the political landscape and how people thought about their relationship to the planet. Out of the first Earth Day comes in the United States again, Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act, the creation of the EPA, and really, the first generation of legislation that was aimed at protecting the environment. So over the last 40 years, we've seen great gains, but the challenges have also changed as well. Now we face global warming and climate change, and for the 4th anniversary, that's really our goal, is to not only raise awareness about climate change and how, in the same way that our relationship to the planet in 1970 caused the Cuyahoga to catch fire, but also now to how our relationship to the planet with our CO2 emissions, with our ability to continuously and blindly pollute the environment, is leading to climate change, and that's a disconnect, because climate change is hard to see, but what we are trying to do is say, this is something that's tangible, this is something that's affecting you in real ways, and this is why it's important to care about.
Okay. And then we're also wondering what the role of individual countries is. I mean, I would ask you specifically about Argentina, but that's just an example, really. In this global movement, like when you're talking about Earth Day, the events that are going on, how do all these different countries fit in, especially since so many of them have different regulations, they've maybe agreed or not agreed to some of the same set of legislation? How do you see the individual roles?
I think that we can talk about countries, and here at Earth Day Network, we're an international organization that works with groups and individuals all over the world. But we can talk about governments, and that's a long discussion, because, like you said, every government, every country plays a different role in contributing to global warming and climate change, and every country contributes in a different way to progress and in the fight against it. But I think what's important to really pull out is the good work that individuals all over the world and grassroots organizations all over the world are doing in this fight. For us at Earth Day Network, whether it's someone in Lincoln, Nebraska, or Orlando, Florida, whether it's someone in Buenos Aires or someone in Morocco, or Calcutta, there are groups that are doing something. They are raising awareness, they are educating, they are communicating, they are doing development projects to really adapt to the realities of the situation, and that's what is important. So while it's happening at a granular level, while governments all over the world are figuring out their sustainability programs, their green, how they're going to all take advantage of the green economy and of those green technologies that are being developed or have been developed and are really need to be implemented. I think the important thing in what Earth Day allows us to do is say, this is a global movement. This is certainly a national movement, but this is a global movement that billions of people are a part of. And it's a moment, and it's a movement, whether it's someone doing something very simple or someone doing something very advocacy-based and a little bit more complex, that is strong and galvanized and mobilized. You know, our goal is to show that Earth Day is supported, and use that support to push progress, whether that's with an international framework, like we didn't, a legally binding international framework like we didn't see in Copenhagen back in December 2009, or national legislation, whether it be here in the United States or in Argentina.
Okay. And I guess really, I mean, that's all very interesting stuff, but I'm just thinking our readers are probably going to be very interested also in what they can do personally. You know, what can individuals really do, you know, across the board, wherever, just to make sure that this Earth Day is a success, but then also that the effects maybe sort of carry on, you know, and it's not just lost along the way.
Right. There are two goals internationally for Earth Day for me. One is to show that people that are already involved are strongly involved, to show that they're out there. So those are the people that have been environmentalists or have already, you know, started farms or compost or do whatever they do and go to celebrations or go to festivals or go to rallies or sign petitions. But the other is to use the mainstream brand of Earth Day to bring other people in that haven't thought about this stuff, to expand the base, and use the moment as an access point. It's so well known all over the world that to pass up on using Earth Day to drive a consistent message and a message of progress and the need for environmentalism is a huge waste. Because people know this, and we need to use it and message it correctly, and that's what we're trying to do. We don't want this to just be about environmental groups, and because frankly climate change isn't just about environmental groups. It's a national security issue, especially here in the United States as we face continue to put our armed services in harm's way overseas. So we need to engage those communities. This is a social justice issue, as kids in the Bronx grow up with asthma rates that are, you know, shockingly and disgustingly high. So it's a global health issue as well, internationally, and it's an issue from a labor perspective as well. It's a jobs issue. So showing that this is a moment, and this is a movement that is broad, that a lot of people have a stake in, is super important.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anything else, any other comments you'd like to give, or a message for anyone really relating to this?
You can go to earthday.org and find events in your area. Sign our petition, sign our international petition to support a global framework that's fair, ambitious, and legally binding, and continue to stay involved well after Earth Day, because this is just the beginning.
Okay, thank you very much, Nate.